Hey everybody, Scott Roberts with Nichols Wealth Partner, here to talk to you about something that everybody loves talking about, which is life insurance. And today we're going to talk about life insurance underwriting, and because there's so much to talk about, we're going to break it up into two parts. Today's part is the first part. We're going to be talking about informal underwriting, and then the next time we'll talk about some underwriting insights and challenges that we run into. So informal underwriting, what is that? Before we talk about that, we got to define underwriting in general. And so underwriting is the process by which a life insurance company makes a risk assessment of the proposed insured and assigns a rating that affects the premium amount. So what do I mean by rating? This graphic right here shows that when you apply to a life insurance company, they're going to assign you a rating. They even have super preferred, but preferred and standard are more common. Those are good offers. And then as the health declines, you could get table rated all the way down to a table 16 and then actually declined. So, and as you go down, the rating goes up and also the premium goes up for the same amount of death benefit. So in a perfect world, we would just submit an application and they would do their underwriting. They would look at medical records. There's a medical exam. They would draw blood. There'd be urine testing, that type of thing. And then we would get our good rating and we'd be off to the races. We would secure whatever amount of life insurance we wanted and we're all good. But as you know, we don't live in a perfect world. And if we were dealing with clients in their 20s and 30s in good health, it would work something like that. When we're dealing with the grown children of our clients, it often does work like that. It's just as simple. Or if we're doing something for friends or family, it would work like that. But when we're dealing with life insurance, we're usually doing it for tax reasons. And when we're doing it for tax reasons, we're usually dealing with high net worth clients. High net worth clients usually means older, and older usually means more health issues. Speaking as somebody who's 56, I can tell you that the wheels start to come off right around 50, and that's when you're dealing with different issues. So what we do, instead of just sending a formal application out there, and the other thing is we're not really sure how companies will view the information when they look at it, because you could have a bunch of different companies look at the same information and come to different conclusions on the risk and how what somebody's life expectancy would be. Other thing is that when we send a formal application into a life insurance company, all that information is going to end up in something called the MIB, the Medical Information Bureau. So if ever in the future we want to reapply for life insurance, all that information is going to be there. So we want to know what we're dealing with before we send in a formal application. And so what does that look like? Informal underwriting. The first thing we're going to do is sign a HIPAA authorization that allows us to gather and review the information. Second thing, what doctors has the client seen in the last 5 years? Pretty simple stuff. So far, just a signature and tell us who you've seen in the last 5 years. And the last thing, just in case there is something serious medical issue that we're dealing with, are there any medical issues? So even if it's longer than 5 years ago, is there something that we're going to have to deal with? And that's it for the informal underwriting. It's really that simple. So then what we'll do is we use a third-party vendor who collects all the records. And then we will, once we have all the records, and that can take anywhere from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, depending upon the doctor's office and how organized they are, etc. We'll package everything up. We'll send it to a couple of different life insurance companies. And we'll say, hey, based on what you're seeing right here, what is an offer that you would give us? And so then they'll come back with tentative informal offers. And those offers, like I said, they can range from, hey, we think this person's very healthy. Same people looking at the same information, we might get a wildly different rating. Usually they're going to cluster around the same area though. Sometimes they'll come back and they'll say, hey, we saw this in the medical records, and we need more information on it. And so there's a little bit of back and forth. We provide a little bit more information, and then they'll come back and say, okay, based on all this, this is what we're willing to offer. And then with that offer, let's say we end up at a standard rating. So then we're able to rerun the numbers. Maybe originally we were thinking preferred. We rerun the numbers so that we know, hey, if we're talking about $10 million in death benefit, this is what the premiums would be. And then based on that, we can pick which company we want to actually go to. We can then fill out the formal application and shoot it off to the insurance company, knowing that we're reasonably assured as to what rating we're going to get. And that's what informal underwriting is about. Another benefit of doing informal underwriting is it's sort of a baby step toward getting the life insurance policy. Some people in the beginning might think, hey, it kind of makes sense for all the reasons that we've been talking about to get a policy for estate tax reasons, but I don't know if I'm ready to commit to an exact amount or an exact premium. And so we can say, that's fine. Let's just see what we think a premium would be based on your health history. And so then we can make those decisions once we have the informal offer in-house. So thanks for joining me. That's what informal underwriting is about. And next time we're going to talk to you, like I said, about some life insurance underwriting insights and challenges. So thank you. Have a good day.